Welcome everyone to the Lofi Podcast. Today, my guest is Fretless Fingers. Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you very much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We had some technical difficulties getting me on, right? With me moving locations all the time.
I know, just moving here and there, but I mean, it's great to finally have you on, and we're going to be able to talk about loads of different things. But before we start, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself as a person? Like, do you have any hobbies outside of music, or do you have anything interesting about yourself you'd like to share?
Yeah, so outside of music, I like to surf. I do a lot of surfing on the west coast of Ireland. And well, I try to. I live in the Midlands, so it takes me like an hour and a half to get there. And when I say I like to surf, I like to surf. I'm not good at it. I just like doing it, you know. Then just going to the gym and stuff. I like to try and stay somewhat in shape, you know. Sometimes that shape is a potato, but a shape nonetheless. But yeah, and then just traveling. Traveling's kind of my thing right now, as you probably know. This is I'm in my seventh country technically in the last couple of months. So I'm moving around a lot, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's great to be able to now just travel around the world and see all these different places. In your travels, have you been able to get some of that surfing done in different countries?
Not yet, because of the injury. I was being careful, you know. But I think I will soon. At the moment, I'm not really in the Philippines where I am at the moment. It's good for waves, but it's off season. But I think maybe when I get to Bali or something, I'll get some surfing in.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. You know, get that old passion out again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So you have your name, right? Fretless Fingers. How did it come about? I believe you have a story and an experience that sort of shifted to your music career.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So Fretless Fingers is because of an injury I had. 4 months ago, I was cutting up some wood with my dad, and I just let the electric saw run straight into my fingers on my left hand. So it went straight into the bones. I could just feel it kind of kicking, destroyed all of the nerves, arteries, tendons, and when it happened, I know it sounds gruesome, but it was kind of a little bit funny at the same time, because it was just me and my dad outside cutting up, and as soon as it happened, I knew that the fingers were bad, without even looking, and I just put my hand on it to just kind of hold them in case they were falling off, and they were kind of just hanging a little bit, and spraying blood, you know. And I just turned around to my dad and I was like, do you want to see? And at this point, with the adrenaline, I wasn't really panicking yet. I was still kind of fooling around. That's kind of my thing, is you know. And he's like, see what? And then I showed him, and he screamed, right? But everybody in my family thought he hurt himself. So my mom, my sister all comes running out like, what happened to dad? And I'm there holding a tea towel on my hand, and they're like, it was Halloween week as well, right? So my mom was like, oh, you're messing with me. You're at the using all the fake blood. I was like, what? No. I was like, please call an ambulance. So I had to spend about 2 minutes trying to convince my mother that it was real, so that I could actually go and get medical attention, you know?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I sorry. I feel bad laughing about this, but it is quite, you know, just it being Halloween week and all of this. It's just wow. It's
yeah, and then oh man, it was just it was funny. Then my way of dealing with pain is I tend to just make jokes and stuff. So even when I was in the hospital waiting on to get seen, or they were kind of probing me a bit, you know, it was asking me the pain level from 1 to 10. I was like, I can't count to 10 at the moment without my fingers. but nobody was really kind of finding me funny in there, but I suppose. But yeah, that's where the name came from, and because I've been a guitar player all my life, and I can't fret the guitar anymore. So I thought, hey, why not call my new music venture Fretless Fingers and turn this into a positive, because I'm not negative about it at all. Like, I know I played the guitar for 20 years and I can't play anymore, and it's devastating. It is what it is. But if I was to choose to let that negativity kind of build up, like, it's not going to do anything for me personally. But like, if I change it and pivot, like some sort of kind of sick kind of fairy tale ending, you know, like a Disney movie, but John Wick's in it or something. And but you know, just like, that's the way I choose to look at it. I got a nice name out of it, and yes, my hand is the way it is. It doesn't really work like it used to. I have to be pretty careful trying to pick things up with it, because I can't actually feel the fingers. So if something, I've burnt myself because I can't actually feel the skin getting hot when I pick up something too hot. Stuff like that, or when it gets extremely cold, or just like cold in Ireland, it's way worse. So that's why traveling at the moment really helps the hand too, you know. It wasn't the reason we went traveling, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great to hear that you have this sort of positive outlook despite this horrible thing happening to you. And it's encouraging to hear that you're able to look at this, and take it as an experience from which you can grow, accept it is what it is, and see how you can, take this opportunity, and make the best of it, right? Like, you'd think that a lot of people, something like this happens, they might be discouraged, they might completely stop making music, but you're pushing forward, and this is really encouraging to see.
Yeah, like to be honest, like before the accident, I was planning on coming up with a lo-fi alias, right? Because I do work in other genres, and I was actually planning on doing what I'm doing now. But I don't think if the accident like didn't happen, that I would have had the drive that I have at the moment to progress and to work with other people. And like, I think it's been a really important factor into what I'm doing now and the people I'm working with now and the changes that I've had to make, my sound design has had to develop so much because I can't use my organic instruments anymore, so I've really had to learn more, and that excites me because I like to learn, especially about music, because I'm so passionate about it. And yeah, I've actually been enjoying it. Like, so it's not just the outlook. I suppose the initial outlook of making it be positive at the start was difficult, but now I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, I never really think about the hand too much. Like, obviously throughout the day doing normal stuff, this, that and the other, but like, I don't wake up and think, oh, I wish my hand was normal. Like, I'm at a point now where I'm just like, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's really beautiful to hear. But you mentioned that, so you've sort of been producing before lo-fi as well. You hinted at there. And so how did this journey grow in that you were producing other genres of music and working with different styles and flow into what you're doing now as Fretless Fingers?
Yeah, so like, as I mentioned, guitar was my kind of starting point. But I always loved to write songs, and like lyrically as well. So I started off as an acoustic kind of singer-songwriter, and even the way I learned how to play the guitar, I always struggled to learn someone else's songs, so I used to just write my own, and the chords, and that's like how it all kind of begun, I suppose. I had difficulties playing other people's songs, but I love to write. and I used to just write all the time. And when I picked up the guitar, sometimes I used to like just sit there and make up songs about my sister slagging her or something, and like that's where it all kind of started. And I think it was my older sister at the time was like, oh, like if you took yourself a little bit more serious, you might be able to do something with that. Um, and like I think it was after that point I was like, do you know what? I think I might take it a little bit more serious. Um, and so like the acoustic singer-songwriter stuff turned into rock bands, and I got more people involved. One of my best friends was a drummer, and then I got another guitarist in, and we started like recording in studios. So I think I first started recording in studios maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Um, so that was like an acoustic album, and 4 tracks on that. And then the bigger the band got, members wise and productions wise, I remember being in the studio and thinking, like what I'm really enjoying here is the studio. Like I'm not really looking forward to going and gigging this music. Like I'm looking, this is the moment that I want. So that further developed a couple of more years with kind of the rock style, and then I started doing some hip hop and just kind of sound design. I kind of slowly started getting into production myself. As you know yourself, it can be a steep learning curve. So while I was in and out of these studios, I'd be constantly asking Aiden. Aiden was the guy running the studio. I'd be constantly asking him for advice, messaging him, being like, "Oh man, like, how does this sound?" And it'd be absolute trash, like terrible. One of the worst things you'd ever send. And I'd be sending this over to professional, like studio owners, as if it was gold. Like, you need to hear this, this is what we're going to do next. But but we laugh about it, but we all have those songs, don't we? Like, we all started.
I can completely relate. Yeah, because what you've just described there is similar to how I was as well. Because I started learning piano, and I started guitar, but I never really found joy or satisfaction in music whenever I was playing other people's things. Like, I always find that, whenever you're just strumming your own chords, coming up with your own lyrics, it fills you with that sort of sense of satisfaction, right? You're like, I've made this. This is beautiful, and I can't wait to share this with someone to see what they think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Whereas whenever I was playing other people's music, yes, it was fun, but at the same time, I didn't really get that spark that there was whenever you were playing and coming up with your own things. So it's quite interesting that we're similar in that way. And also, yeah, we started producing, and then I find that, sitting and working and producing music was just this clicked. So yeah, we have that similarity.
Yeah, man, it's like, but that's it. That's it. It's I feel you connect with it more emotionally when you're writing it yourself, right? Like, I used to write these lyrics, and to be honest with you, like, I'd never sit down with the intention of writing a song about something. I'd just sit there and I'd strum the first few chords that, whatever, and I'd just sing any line over it, not even think about what word was first, what word was coming next. I'd just sing, and I'd write down that sentence, and then I'd just sing the next one, and I'd just keep writing and singing, and I'd never actually think about it. And people used to be like, "Oh, how do you get like this, the lyrics all to work together?" Like, I don't know. They're like, I don't know. I just do it. Like, I just love to do it. You get in that state of flow, right? And you let everything else drift away, and that's it.
Yeah, I know. It's because I'm the same whenever I'm sitting producing music. I may have an initial idea, maybe a couple of chords or a little riff or something, but it's whenever you get into that mindset, you just put all of your worries, whatever's happening in the world, just behind, and you just focus on music and you let that creativity flow. just whenever you sit back and then see that final product, you go, wow, where did this come from? And whenever people ask you, how did you do this? You say, I don't know, I was sitting there and this is how it happened. So, but yeah, having this music, just as a form of maybe like escapism, if that's the right term, is great because it's like a therapy. Because no matter what's happening in your life at that time, you can sit down, pick up your guitar, or sit at some keys, or open up your DAW, whatever your form of music is, and just sit there and produce.
See, that's it. That's it exactly. Like now that even you touched on therapy there, like that's it exactly, right? So like for us, it's an output. I'm like playing someone else's music to me. While yes, like you have to be very talented to play some pieces, and not to take away from it at all. But for me personally, it felt a bit like a chore, learning how to do it note for note and this, that, and the other. But if I was just to sit down and play my own thing without like an expectation, that's when I kind of relaxed and I was at peace, so like I used to mitch in school, not go into classes. There was like this whole music room, like floor full of music rooms in my school, man, and I used to just go and play the guitar, or there was pianos. There's like 12 of these rooms with pianos and guitars, man, and I just like be in there, like never went to class, always just went to, yeah, I know, like if anybody is young and still in school, listen to this, go and study, don't do what I do. but yeah, no, that's what I used to do, man. I used to just escape to these rooms, and I'd just sit there strumming the guitar or playing with the piano. And like at that time, I probably wasn't even like remotely any good at it, but it was all that time I spent there that I kind of fell in love with just kind of getting into that state of mind, that state of flow.
Yeah. No, I can relate with that as well because, like, I myself was homeschooled. So I had all of this time at home after classes, classes, if so to speak, were over. And so that you could just sit down and explore music, right? And it was just having that freedom whenever you're younger. I think that just helped nurture this love for the art. And that's where it just came to where it is today. Like the two of us, we're both producing music, and just as the years went by, this love grew and grew into what it is. So
Yeah, it's truly something like, and that's like getting into producer side of it. Then it's all about capturing that, right? And capturing those moments and like sharing it with the world. Like even if that world might be 3 listeners, it's still something, you're putting yourself out there.
yeah, because like it comes to the next question that I was hoping to ask. Like, I mean, so we're performing live and producing in the studio. Like, so, but why for you? Like, why does production give you more joy over the live performance? Like, I mean, we did briefly touch that, it gives you that sense of freedom and so on. But like, if you could sum it up, why does the production give you this more joy?
So like, I suppose when I'm producing music, there's no sense of expectation. Um, Whereas while I was kind of playing live and I was doing cover gigs, there's an expectation there, right? Because people know what that sounds like, and you're trying to recreate a certain sound for an audience that only particularly likes one genre. And that's not their fault. You're the one that's playing in that scene. You chose to do it, right? But for me, whenever I was doing that, I never felt comfortable. I always kind of like suffered from nearly anxiety attacks in those situations. I never felt it was me. While I still done it and I used to have fun at some points, depending on who I was playing live with, sometimes you're playing to an empty bar, right? And you're just kind of like, it just felt a bit pointless. But while I was in the studio and writing, I just got lost in the feeling, and it was like every time I played, I wanted that. Like that's what music became for me. It wasn't. I didn't get a sense and joy of people clapping after I played a song. Um, that wasn't. I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for myself. Like the feeling that I got. Trying to chase those moments little by little, and yeah, like that was the main reason I kind of stopped wanting to play live. And like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, and there's a couple of people in that scene that I've played music with that are insanely talented, and I learned so much about even like mixing balances and stuff. Because when you're playing in a live setting with another instrument, you know straight away when two parts don't work together, right? Or one's overpowering the other, and something's got to give. So like when I started applying those techniques to my production, it really stood to me too. Like you understand that as well, I'm sure, from playing instruments. Like but that's the main reason I suppose that playing live didn't really do it for me.
But it's still good that in those experiences when you did play live, you were able to, from those times, learn even about, how these instruments work together, even just sort of the live mix. And from everything that we do and all the experiences we have, we can use them to help us grow into better musicians. Like,
Yeah, like it's I did like when you apply all the techniques and stuff that you learn and from other people, like people playing their own rhythms as well, right? When we're playing live, like we all like can pick up a guitar and we can just be like, yeah, I can play those chords, but each of our rhythms is slightly different, right? And you've got to learn to adapt in that moment. And even like going from verse to bridge or something, people change tempo in a live setting. They don't mean to, but it happens, right? So everybody's got to adapt to sound uniform. So if you're used to doing that in a live setting, when you're trying to do it in a recording setting, I think it's easy. It becomes easy to you. You like even just to notice, your ear notices it. You don't have to look at the bars on your laptop screen to know that something's out of time. Or because sometimes it's very slight, isn't it? But something's up. But yeah, that's I think personally, if I didn't go through that, all of those areas, those genres, those playing styles, I don't think my production would be the same way it is now. Like the techniques that I apply or the techniques that I learned, I really don't think it would be the same standard. I think I would still be learning some things, an awful lot.
yeah, no, that's good. So you mentioned there a little bit about how you started with live performances and then realized that production is where your heart lay. But then, so you had your accident, and so how did you have to adapt then with music production? And maybe for anyone who also has a disability or something's happened to them, how is music? How do you find how accessible it is?
So it's becoming more and more accessible. I had to do a lot of research to kind of find some stuff that would work, or how I was going to approach it, because as I was always a guitarist, right? So when I was starting to write songs, as I said, I wrote them over a guitar. While I could play bits and pieces on piano, I still kind of think in music as a guitarist, so like nobody sits down at a DAW and is like, I'm gonna put in A minor, F, C. Like you just play something, right? You just like whatever sounds good is gonna be recorded, and then you think about the theory afterwards if you need to, But I would have done that with a guitar, but now I don't have that. So I've had to adapt in my way of both kind of approaching production and writing. So I found this company called Roly. Um, Roly do hardware keyboards and stuff, but it's MPE, so it's um, basically essentially it's a MIDI controller, but with added stuff, right? You've got this. You can get this thing called an airwave, and if you just move your hands in the air, it can pick it up. So I can program that to act as a delay after I press one note, or I can program it to move across the next notes in a sweep, depending on if you raise your hand or you lower it, or even if you just you don't. There is some stuff that you can do with your fingers, but I obviously don't do that because my fingers just don't do that. But yeah, so like Roly, the Roly C board is what it's called.
Oh, yes. Yep. I've heard of
Yeah,
it.
I'd say you've seen it. Yeah. Oh, Joe, and it actually, like, as soon as I got it, I was like a bubble child at Christmas, man. I was just having so much fun, you know. Um, like when you press down on it, when you slide your hand forward, it starts to just slide the note into different pitches. You can do vibrato just by shaking it. It even plays it like it knows when you've done something accidentally and it sounds terrible. Like it sounds like you're making mistakes on an instrument, you know? It's yeah, yeah. So like there's software that's getting developed around it. It's still building, but it's pretty fun, you know. And to me, making music's all about having a bit of fun, right? Not everybody, actually, probably like 90% of people who are making music in the world right now are just looking to enjoy themselves. They're not looking to make this as a job, you know. So like that's very accessible to people nowadays. So I think personally, I've had to research it. Obviously, I'm better off than most people are. But yeah, there is other things. I've seen shows before on hardware that is completely kind of hands-free that's coming in. So there's lots of stuff getting designed for like to make music more accessible to everybody, which is so good to see. Because
Yeah, no, it is. It's great to see such things because music is sort of one of these universal things, right? No matter where you go, there's music and it brings people together. And the fact is that now that with this technology, people are using it to make music available to anyone, and anyone can make music as well, no matter who you are, no matter how much music theory knowledge you have or anything, we're all able to experience this joy together of just making sounds. And it's really like heartwarming to see this happen. And you see people online who thought they might never be able to pick up an instrument or make a noise, and you're scrolling on Instagram and you see this person and they're making some of the most beautiful music you've ever heard.
yeah, yeah, like it's insane, isn't it? Like, but that's it, because even especially with traveling at the moment, right? I come across, like, I'm in a different country every couple of weeks, and it's a different language every couple of weeks. But the one thing that's not changing is music. Everybody understands it, right? Um, and like certain emotions that are put into songs, people may not necessarily all we may not all describe it the same way, but we all feel the same way from certain music, like compositions and stuff, you know. Um, that's what I love about music too. It's just it can take anybody anywhere, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All of us, like, we all have this, connection to sound, and it's universal. And so, yeah, talking about this and how music's all around the world. I believe you're hoping to start an in-person collaboration series alongside your travels.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, like, I'd say by the time this comes out, I'll have met the first artist in Tokyo. So, like, I love working with people in a studio, and in that setting, as I've said, I kind of come alive. You know, I feel comfortable. When a track is looping and I'm sitting there waiting to put in that next overlaying melody, like that moment right there, man, that's me. You know, and that's what I chase. So, and I wanna continue to do that with people. like I think we lose sight of how special it is to be working with other artists when we're doing it online. I'm working with some great artists, but it doesn't really hit home as a reality because we're not working together in person, like, you know, or most of the time, as you know, because you do it too, you're not even chatting on a Zoom call, you know. Someone just sends you a file and you're like, yeah, I'll work on that file. You send it back and you have collaborated together. But like what I used to do, the collaborative experience that I had in the studio was you'd bounce off each other and be like, oh, do you know what, man? I think you can hit that phrase a little bit better. I think your last take with that take, let's try that. And like, I think that's where I learned so much from other people in that setting, and I want to try to do that with more people in the lo-fi scene. So I was like, do you know what? This is going to be an expensive venture, flying myself across the world to meet these people, but I want to do it, you know. And I'm just like, I'm so excited to go and meet people, play with them in real time, and I personally, I think. I'm gonna build some great relationships with people out of this, you know, and meet some great people, learn what they're doing. So the next artist I'm meeting, he works mainly off of hardware, which is something that I've been researching an awful lot because I produce mainly off of like instruments, guitars, bass guitars, you know. So like I've had to research a lot of that stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing like it being made in real life by someone who is a wizard at that, you know. Like that's exciting to me, you know, because we watch stuff on YouTube, right? But it's not the same thing, is it? You can't tell them, hey, what are you doing with that?
I know, that's the thing. And I suppose with this collaborating in person, yeah, as you said, you can bounce ideas off each other, but also, you know, you can use it as a learning experience in that you're able to share, you know, the wisdom and the knowledge that you've learned over the years in different types of producing. As you said, some people might be all working on in DAWs, other people might like more sort of organic instruments and just sticking a mic in front of it and sort of blending these styles together. You know, you can create something that's not been heard of.
Yeah, like I think that's something that is something truly unique is gonna come there, and like it's gonna each element is gonna be like everybody's input, if you know what I mean. Like when I send you a file online, you can't say in real time, do you know what, I wish you'd leave out that note or take out the harshness. But in person we can do that, right? So every little element that's gone into a track in person, in my opinion, is going to be there because you both want it there. Whereas there might be, when you're working online with people, there might be stuff there that one artist is not particularly happy with, but they're just like, it's too hard to explain. Or, you know, like, so I'm looking forward to that. Don't get me wrong, I think working together online is great too. And it's so accessible and it's so important. And I love the fact that I can be working with someone in America right now, and not have to fly to America. Obviously that's great, right? Obviously it is, and it's just I personally want to do more in-person stuff, and I'm gonna build a series around of videos. So I've hired an editor and stuff from South Africa. She's very talented. She's going to be putting the videos together for me, and I'm going to try and kind of give people a platform as well, you know. I want to try and share their cultures wherever I can, what's important to them as people, just like kind of what you're doing, man. You know, you're giving people a platform to tell the world who they are, and I want to do something similar. Just this is my way of doing it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's beautiful to hear. Like, you know, you just have that. You want to build the sense of community, and you know, everybody's able to hear each other's stories as well in the lo-fi community. And I say this in every episode of the podcast, this is what I love about the lo-fi community, because we're all so close knit. Like, it's so family like. We're able to go to each other, ask each other for help whenever we're producing music. We can just pop someone a message and ask, hey, do you want to collab? And you can just start making stuff. It's just that whole sense of openness and freedom that we have. And so if we can use this as an opportunity to help build each other up as well, and to grow as producers and to have more of a platform, let's go for it.
Yeah, like I think it's so important, because like you're going to learn so much more from someone else 9 times out of 10, because they've probably learned it the hard way. You don't have to learn everything the hard way. Just like I get some people that I'm doing tracks with, and they're just like, oh, sometimes they reach out and they're like, oh, do you want to collaborate? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Send on what you got, and I might reply, not that one, but I'm open for the next one. So sometimes a track doesn't suit, and they're like, no, this one is the best one. I'm just like, well, it might be the best one in your opinion, but for two people to work together, it's got to be the best one in both your opinions, right? And that's important. Accepting other people's kind of aspects too. When you're collaborating with someone, I think both parties need to be open to learn, and if you're open to learn, you're going to learn so much. Like it's a wealth of knowledge in the lo-fi community right now, man. There like so many artists that I come across on a weekly basis that I'm just constantly impressed with, and how they're changing, how they're growing, and I love to see that. And like everybody kind of shares everybody's stuff as well, right? Like, which is so cool, because in different genres you're fighting against each other, but in this genre it's like, nah, we're going to support each other.
Mhm. It's really just having that openness and open-mindedness to, just listening to other people's point of views, and just not having that pride and thinking that, I know it all, I'm the best producer out there, and that, you can just learn from each other and just grow together as musicians and as people as well. So
Yeah, you've got it. That's it, exactly, man. You just open-mindedness in the online community, and it's there, right? Isn't it? Like, there's not many people you come across that are very negative in the lo-fi. Now there is still some, obviously, but 9 times out of 10, most people are genuine, they're nice, and they're looking to help each other and grow with each other, which is cool.
yeah. So, but here, thank you so much for everything you said so far. But before we wrap up, is there any sort of words of encouragement you could bring to anyone who's maybe looking to get into production, but feel like, they might have had an accident, or there's something that's stopping them from producing, and that, that you can just tell them that it's available to everyone?
Yeah, so look, like as I've said, there is stuff out there. You gotta research stuff to find what suits you and suits your production styles. But like, first, something's gotta first exist before it can be improved, right? So don't be afraid to start, because if it's not there, you can't improve it. And like, in my opinion, you're successful as soon as you put that out. As soon as you put something out, that's it. Like, how is that not something to be proud of? You made a piece of art and you're sharing it with the world. Like, don't be afraid to put stuff out. And yeah, in a year's time, you might think, oh, that wasn't that good. But that's not what it's about. It's you've progressed from that year's time. Change your like mind frame, and maybe just look back and be like, oh, do you know what? I've actually learned so much since that track came out. Like, don't look at it like, I can't believe I didn't do this effect, or I left that like this. Look at it like, I can't believe how much I've improved since then. Like, I think we kind of think about the negative of it too much. We look back and and it may not be your best work. That's fine. But we look back at it and we're just like, oh, I hate this, I hate that. But at that time, you loved it. And that's important, right? that's an important memory to look back in a positive light of, yes, I loved it at that time. I'm great. Like, I'm proud I put that out there. But I think it's important to keep that mind frame of, don't judge yourself on your previous stuff, or on your restrictions. If you see something as a restriction, you're always going to be restricted, you know. And then, like, I think at the moment, people who start, I just wanted to say this as well, people who start and put out music, like, you're not going to get that instant gratification, right? When you release your first track, or you release your first 10 tracks, if it's not gaining traction, don't be so worried, you know. Like, people go to the gym on a Saturday and they want a six pack on a Sunday. You're like, it doesn't work. You've got to put in the time. You've got to learn those lessons. You've got to work with people, build your network. It's important, you know. And then if you're online and you're working with people, stay professional. Even if they are, you're getting negative reach of, like, I get people, like, when I submit songs to playlisters and they're like, oh, I really like that song, but it's missing a strong lead element, like a guitar or something. And I'm just like, I feel you, man. I feel you there, man. It's definitely missing a guitar, you know. But I stay positive about it, you know. Like, even if some of it might be negative feedback, you need to take that, like, as, and build from it, you know. It's like, okay, right, my sound design needs to be a little bit more organic, like, and just build. So whatever it is, if someone's giving you negative feedback, don't think of it as that person's trying to put you down. Maybe they're trying to help you, maybe. But yeah, I suppose that's what I'd have to say to people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, that would be a great encouragement to anyone who's just starting off, because it's all about, you know, being positive and not looking back and thinking that, you know, this is what I made and it was horrible, but that you've grown from it. And to take joy in the fact that you've grown as a musician, you've grown in a producer, and that it's only positive from here.
Yeah, like, it's so important, man, because at the end of the day, you've got to enjoy the journey of it, right? Everybody's chasing to get this big song or the big numbers, but it might not come, you know. So, like, you've got to enjoy. If you're not enjoying the journey of it, it's definitely not going to come, because you're not going to have a positive output, you know. And if you're working with someone, or only working with people because you want to grow off of them, that's not a good relationship either. So you're not going to build the network that you need.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's all just working for each other and growing together as a community. Like,
oh, absolutely, yeah. I've made so many good friends online now, man. And, like, before the lo-fi community, I would have laughed at myself saying this, but, like, I didn't think it was possible to make as strong connections as what I've made online, right? Like, I'm chatting to some of these guys on a daily basis. I was never in group chats or anything too much. I was never active in them, you know. I'd always be like, I'm not replying to that. But now I'm, like, very active. I'm, like, waiting for them to post in. We're having a laugh, you know. I'm having so much fun with it, and I can't believe I'm only starting to do that at the age of 29, you know. But I was closed off, like, mentally to that world, you know. I didn't think it existed the way it existed, but I'm so glad that I've changed my mentality there too, you know, because it's fun. And, like, that's what the community is all about, right? All these beat battles, these labels. I think it's impressive what the lo-fi community is doing.
Mm-hmm. It's really beautiful to see, and, you know, we can only hope that it will continue to flourish from here. So, but here, thank you so much for having this interview and sharing, you know, your story. I'm sure it'll be an encouragement to lots of people hearing how you managed to just grow from what happened, and that you're able to push on forward and keep on creating music. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you very, like, it means a lot to be on the show, and yeah, I listen to everything that comes out now on your show.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to this coming out.
That's a great encouragement to hear. Well, here, thank you so much, and I'll see you around.
See you later, man. Thank you.